This is Making a Difference with Noah Ben Shia. This week, Rick Ifland and his son Crawford Ifland, as well as Dr. Gail Beebe, president of Westmont College. This is Making a Difference with Noah Ben Shia.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Making a Difference. My name is Noah Ben Shia. We're here in the president's office at Westmont College in Santa Barbara, California, with my special guest, Rick Ifland. Rick Ifland majored in economics and business at Westmont College, earned an MBA at the University of Kentucky, and a master's in international law at Oxford University. He started a company that transformed automation in the mortgage industry and sold it to a Fortune 500 company. He has since purchased 24 companies and is the general partner of Oxford Holdings, LLC. When one hears your background, Rick, it's pretty impressive stuff. And a lot of people are very tentative about where they're going in their own life. We know all beginnings are fragile. Tell us a little about your beginning, the people that influenced you, the environment. Let us learn a little bit more about what makes you, you.
Well, thanks, Noah. I was born in Santa Cruz, up in the Monterey Bay, the second of 5 children. We had a very active household, small house, 7 people, and you're never bored. We were all athletes, so we were constantly in one sport or another, and my dear mom was shuttling us up all over the place while my dad was working very, very hard to feed 7 mouths.
What did your dad do?
My dad was an electrician, and then later was a land surveyor.
But deeply, obviously, you don't get to be who you are without people who have a pretty deep value system going on in their lives.
My dad's work ethic was absolutely unbelievable. My mom's heart's the biggest heart that I've ever known.
Yeah.
So that's a good start. I've always said I learn more after 3 o'clock than before 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I have some coaches that are just very foundational to me.
You mean athletic coaches?
Athletic coaches.
And also the coaches you had at home.
Certainly the coaches I had at home.
When you said that combination of your dad's work ethic and your mom's heart, when one tries to think about walking the tightrope in life, having that as the balance pole would be a tremendous gift.
It's hard to beat. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's. And what was your mom's name?
My mom's name is Joan.
Joan. And your father?
And it's not past tense.
I heard myself ask that question in the past tense and heard ask it. I may be speaking my own age and asking it that way.
They're still here, and my dad still has a great work ethic, and my mom still has a great heart.
And they still have high expectations for you.
Of course.
Do you still find yourself, when you achieve things, anxious to get them on the phone and let them know what's going on in your life?
You know, the internet accomplishes some of that, so I'm not too anxious to tell that to anybody, actually.
I found that when my parents were gone, I can still make that call to my mom and my dad, but it's definitely a long distance call now.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you have a particular memory of some instance when something when you did when you were a kid, when your father said, "Hey," and pulled you up short, or your mom drew you in and said, "Let's not lose sight of what matters in life"?
We're on film, right?
Yeah.
No. You know, my dad's very quiet. So I think he was the original E.F. Hutton. So when he spoke, we listened.
Yeah.
And when he did have something to say that put us back in line, he didn't have to raise his voice. We got it. I think mostly out of respect for him, but he was just very quiet. My mom hugged us a lot. So her
Nothing
way
is as articulate as a hug.
That's right. That's exactly right. So a great combination.
Yeah. I was thinking about when you talked about your dad being soft-spoken and not really inclined to talk much about that. That too has passed to his son Rick.
We'll see. I think I'm a combination of the two of them.
Well, yeah. I'm sure in the present tense they are smiling, and that's no small thing in life when you feel that you've succeeded in a certain way, and you didn't do it with anger toward them that they pushed you, but you did it with great pride in that sense, quiet pride, private pride about what you were able to achieve.
Sure, and you know, I think they didn't push us. That's what's interesting. We all found our own path. I think we were all blessed with different gifts that God gave us, and we were able to pursue those. Mine happened to be a little more academic than my brothers and my sister, but boy, they're all just really talented. And what we got at home is just a lot of support.
Yeah, there's no, people tend to forget that if you have a love-centered home, you can put up with almost anything. And without a love-centered home, life can be tough.
Sure, absolutely. It's very, very rich childhood because of that.
It's nice to think about. People might think of your life now as being very blessed, fortunate in a lot of ways. And you look back on it and think, I had a very rich childhood, from a home.
Absolutely. I mean, it was more, maybe more of a modest upbringing than the lifestyle that I live right now, but no less rich.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of ways, maybe richer, just because of having parents that care, having brothers and a sister that care, having infrastructure that cared. Very important.
It is a blessing in life to know you are blessed.
Absolutely.
Right, to pause and recognize that.
Absolutely.
Clearly you've been entrepreneurial in your adult life, and you come to it quite naturally. Were you, to the manner born in that sense, were you entrepreneurial as a child?
I wasn't the kid that did the paper route because I was always doing some activity in sports. But when it came time to be creative or to figure out a unique solution, we had a home that certainly allowed for that. I think it blossomed maybe more teenage years and then into college.
Where you found, where encountering and solving something was something that gave you pleasure.
I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I enjoy finding, there's a saying, and I don't know who it came from, that discovery consists in seeing what everyone else has seen, but thinking what no one else has thought.
Very nice.
I like that. I like solving unique problems by looking at the same thing that everybody else is seeing, but maybe from a different lens.
How you were raised, I come back to this again and again, the influence that parents have on children, that your openness to look at ideas and to see things anew is no small thing to get passed on to your children.
Sure.
So,
in my case, I think that what I got from my parents was consistency and dependability. And when you have that as a baseline, then it allows for creativity because it's a really solid foundation.
and life is an uncertain business.
Sure. Life is very uncertain. Though my parents were just rock solid. My wife now is rock solid. I could not do what I do today if she were not who she is. And so I'm very thankful for both my marriage and my parents.
And you met your wife's name?
My wife's name is Neil.
And you met Neil here at Westmont?
She's 1 year behind me.
You always remind her of that?
No, she's way smarter than me. She looks 10 years younger than me.
Oh, no,
but she's 1 year, she's 1 year behind
We'll make
me.
sure we get this on film for you because this is good testimony. Rick, well, excellence in business is usually translated as making a profit. For you, it seems that success in business in many ways is about making a difference. And this attitude has translated into the rest of your life where you've been involved with a number of ministries in Africa and in the Middle East where you were doing things to make a difference in other people's lives. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I think, I guess from my perspective, profit would end up being an outcome of excellence. It's not something that you primarily seek. So my lens would be, how am I wired? How can I make God smile? How can I use the gifts that I've been given in order to help other people? And when that is in a for-profit business and you do strive for excellence and the people around you strive for excellence, usually the outcome is pretty good.
A lot of times people think if they do the right thing, like I'm doing it for others. I find that when you do the right thing, it's self-gratifying. Because I don't feel wonderful because I've done this. I feel like that's the way I should conduct myself. And I was thinking about you when you talked about athleticism early in your life and later at Westmont. I think you ran track here.
I did. And
whether you're running a business or doing things to minister to others or to be an ally to other people, it's how you run the race. How you run the race. And that's no small thing in your life.
Yeah, I think that's right. There is a translation when you work really hard in athletics or in academics, especially in athletics. The only difference between that and business is really that there's no timeouts and the game never ends. But it's essentially the same thing. It's the habitual pursuit of excellence. And when you do pursue that, you learn a lot about yourself. And when you are pursuing that in order to help others, I think that's when the gifts become more alive. That's when you just know inside that I was created to do this. And it has nothing to do with profit or business. It has everything to do with just changing lives.
When that's an amazingly important insight to have in life, where you know why, or you feel you know why you were created. Mm-hmm. When did this understanding that you could at least articulate it to yourself come to you?
You know, I don't know that it was ever stated to me. I think my parents lived it. Mm-hmm. My wife lives it.
Well, you know, kids, they don't listen to what we say, they watch what we do.
Right, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so, yeah, that's exactly right. So I think from an early age, I think it was just something that was part of my DNA just because that's what I saw, so that's what you want to replicate.
Right.
Maybe if being able to articulate it probably happened here on campus. I think that I finally, the quest for learning developed here. The articulation of what I was thinking, I think, was finally realized here. Learning how to learn, learning how to think, learning how to integrate faith into learning and then faith into the workplace. All happened here. Very, very foundational.
But faith as the lead-in.
Yes, and that's something that's just always really been a part of me. I mean, I grew up in the church and just saw that modeled every day.
Right, but to a lot of people, the issue of faith is a church issue on Sunday, or depending on how in what religion you are, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Right. It's a pew issue.
Sure.
But I always remind people that it's bringing faith in your wife, faith in your children, faith in your efforts, and all of which is premised on faith in yourself.
Well, I think that just to back up a step, I really think that when you start separating secular from sacred, you make a mistake, because mm-hmm. I don't think you live a holistic life that way. When people begin to take faith out of politics or economics, dysfunction occurs. I think when you are able to fully integrate them, I think that's a much richer life.
I agree with you. I think absent of faith, we eviscerate our experience and leave ourselves more hollow for it.
Right.
And it's not something, I wrote to people one time, that because we shut our eyes, God does not go into hiding. It is, the question is whether we're going to open our eyes to the faith that's available to us in the moment. Well, when you talked about the people that had most influence in your life, they were not necessarily people who just talked the talk, but who walked the path. Walk the path. Oftentimes, we tend to forget that that we don't walk singularly during the day. Right. We walk in the dark of night, and some people help us learn how to find our way in that.
There's a saying that if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you actually want to go far, go together. And to the extent that I've gone far, it's just because of the people that have been around me. Very definitely.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure now of Crawford Iflin joining us. Crawford is Rick's youngest son and is a sophomore here at Westmont College. And talked with your dad and heard some wonderful stories about your grandfather, and talked with your father and learned some wisdom from your father. And that must mean that you are at the tail end of this with an awful lot of wiser men before you. What's your experience of living with a guy like your dad?
You know, he was always around and very involved in both in my life and in my older brother and sister's lives. And that's just really meant a lot, having somebody like him around, and also having, you know, other kind of father figures in my life, like my grandfather, and other people like that. So it really has meant a lot just how much he's poured into me, and just the strong relationship I think we share.
What are you studying here at Westmont?
Studying business and economics.
What a surprise.
No. And, you know, coming to Westmont, there was never any pressure from my mom or dad or anybody else in my family to study business and economics. But just growing up, around my dad and knowing the kind of work he did, and having an office at home and that kind of thing. When he let me be involved in what he was doing in his work, I guess that really made a big difference. Helped me get interested in business.
Yeah.
And now, pursuing it as a major, and I don't know if it'll turn into a career or, what'll happen.
As your father said, it's a long and winding road.
It is,
most of the experience.
And I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, let alone with the next 3 to 5 years of my life.
Well, a lot of us presume we do, but only to discover that we don't. When you were told and brought up to cheer when you heard the name Westmont, and you got here, and how has the experience been for you?
It's been absolutely wonderful.
How nice is that, huh?
Mm-hmm. There was never any pressure to come here, but we were always out in Santa Barbara visiting my older brother and sister, and so I kind of feel like growing up I got to know Santa Barbara well, got to know Westmont well, and just fell in love with the community. And then coming here, the experience has just been so amazing. Westmont's very unique, and I've been very blessed by an opportunity to go here and to have him around.
Well, to that point, when you think back, can you remember a particular situation, a particular time when your dad said something to you, when you witnessed something about your father that had a profound effect on you in your life?
Just looking back, looking at his work ethic and really the passion that he brought to his business, whatever he might have been doing at the time, that's really still inspiring to me as I pursue a business and economics degree, and as I enter the business world, leaving college, just to see too that his, the passion that he brings for what he does, and the strong work ethic that goes along with it doesn't have to come at the expense of his family, doesn't have to come at the expense of his faith. And so really just seeing that example, growing up with that example of merging the two, and really see that it is possible to be a Christian in the business world and, to do well and still honor God and spend time with your family. That's an incredible example.
Big thing in your father's life was raised in the sense of being in the moment, being fully present there in any moment you are with anyone else, and that's no small way of honoring and giving dignity to other people. A lot of times when you're young, we tend to think we're going to live forever, and so we tend to be disregardful of the moments we're given. And in that way, never really enter the magic understream of life, if you will. How has that played in your life? Have you found yourself being attentive to your moments?
Really, over the last semester, last year, have kind of opened my eyes to the fact that I need to be here in the moment. One of those things was my grandfather passing away in August. It was so unexpected and really caught everybody in our family by surprise. And that was one of those moments that really just taught me to, value what you have and value the people you're with, not spend most of your time worrying about what's going to happen in the future, or
presuming the future,
or wishing you were somewhere else. I don't remember who said it, but I heard a great quote from somebody that said, "You can't change the past, but you can ruin the present by worrying about the future."
If someone was to say to you, and you would imagine that your father wasn't sitting next to you, and if somebody said to you, "Is there anything that you really felt that, and I'm not looking for you to clear the air on some anger. What I'm asking you about is, hey, I'm not sure if I said this loudly or if I said it recently, but I want you to know."
Goodness, you are in the room now. Is my chance. I mean, I think if I really take some time to think about it, I just don't tell you thank you enough. And just how you go about life and the person that you are, whether that's within our family or in business or the things you're doing here at Westmont, you really just seek to be the best person you can, seek to do the best job you can, and at the end of the day, just really, stay humble and stay submitted to Christ, and that's an incredible example. So, thank you.
There is something profoundly wise and rich, and certainly a great gift from God when there is that love between father and son, and it is no small thing in life. Again, thank you very much, both of you, this time. Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here with you, Gail Beebe, President, Dr. Gail Beebe, President of Westmont College. you've made a real difference in a relatively short time here at Westmont College. The title of this show is Making a Difference. Tell us a little bit about what inspires you to make a difference in the lives of the young people who come here and the faculty and staff who work here.
Well, I mean, I love the question, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about it. I think as Pam and I considered coming back in 2007, what we loved about Westmont was, first, we loved the mission. We love what it stands for, what it's always stood for, and the people who've really contributed to this, the incredible legacy of the college. But what really drew us was this repeated theme of very high-quality students, very high-quality faculty, and the opportunity to really work with people not only who would serve in every sphere of society, but who would actually be responsible for leading in every sphere of society. And so every day that I get to be here and feel like I'm making a difference in their lives, I really feel it's this idea of paying forward, where we're preparing the next generation of people who will populate all the spheres of society and really make a difference for the betterment of the world.
Well, it's a real tough job by anybody's notion to be the president of a college. And there have got to be days when you feel yourself feeling a little beat up, that what you hoped to happen hadn't happened, somebody disappointed you. At other times, there's times where you have great excitement about the young people you meet. How do you keep yourself going?
Well, I can honestly say I love every day, and there are certainly bumps in it, and that's a part of life. But I always say to myself, the vision has to exceed the inconvenience, and the vision continues to exceed the inconvenience. And I truly love what we get to do. I see education is a process, and running an educational institution teaches you how to respect the fact that much of life is a process. And so every 4 years we get a new crop of students. I often think about the fact that as much as I love the students who are here now, eventually we have to say goodbye to them. And we have the opportunity to love a new group of students and take them through this process of really getting them launched in life. And so there's always periods of frustration in that. There's always periods where you wish you could always work with the best on their best days, but it just never happens.
Well, and in no small regard, faith is an important part of that.
Absolutely.
And this is a faith-based college.
Absolutely.
How does faith lend itself into the day-to-day, the moment-to-moment to give you the strength?
That's a great question. I start every morning with my own, I read scripture, I pray. It prepares me. I think God has given us a respect for the fundamental human nature, the spirit in each one of us that God has given us. And it's that respect that just motivates me. It's trying to bring out the best in every person I'm in contact with, trying to maximize the God-given ability of our students, and really trying to maximize the God-given ability of our faculty and staff.
Perhaps one of the most exciting new programs that are unfolding here is the Eaton School of Entrepreneurship and Innovation, if I've got that correct.
Yeah.
And I know Rick is playing a major role in that. Could you tell us a little bit about your vision for the Eaton School?
Well, yeah, I'd love to talk about it. I mean, it's truly a collective vision. It's one of those that really just comes up from the very ground of the school. I think we're at a place where we really need it. I think it's a place that we've come to. Rick has been serving both on our Board of Trustees and our Board of Advisors. He has sat through numerous meetings where we tried to identify the perfect candidate. What would they be like? What would they have done? What kind of preparation would they have gone through? We have gone out, we have interviewed dozens of people, and all of it with a feeling of futility, to come to the end of it and just feel like we do not have the right person to run this. Eventually I asked Rick if I could sit down and talk to him, and at a huge inconvenience to himself, to his wife, to his entire family, Rick set aside many of the ambitions and projects that he's been running as a venture capitalist in order to give back to his alma mater, to give back because God has truly blessed him and given him gifts and abilities that are uniquely suited for what we need right now. And so the result of the Eaton program is really a combination of us dreaming and realizing this would be the next expression, the next trajectory of what Westmont needs to be about, but also about finding the right person to really embody it. And Rick is the perfect embodiment of what we need to have happen, what we hope happens as a result of students coming into the program, and the transformation that we hope happens in the lives of the students who can benefit from it.
Well, the transformation is the hallmark here. People transform from young people into adults, transform into more educated people, and to that point, making a difference is no minor key, at Westmont and now at the Eaton School. And so I just want to say, as I've lived in this community a long time, I really honor that good work, and the world that we live in is a better place for that effort. So I want to say thank you, Gail. What you're doing in your life and the commitment with which you come to it is making a difference. With gratitude for what you do. Thank you. The Italians remind us that vita è breve, life is short. We are like the dew drying on the morning grass. Eternity is any moment opened with patience. With gratitude for the moments you have spent with us, my name is Noah Ben-Shia, and this is Making a Difference.